I end up watching too many things in a row, binge watching things online. Usually a continuing theme. You know, you've heard of these people who watch these like soldier coming home videos and stuff like that and sit there and boo-hoo to that. I get that. I'm not innocent in that regard myself. But I think what I end up watching the most, because it's more relevant to me, is these relationship videos. Like I just watched a compilation of, and some of them I was familiar with. It was various couples on Instagram, and it was just the women were they're so much fun. They're just acting goofy and just clowning and everything like that. They got such great senses of humor. And I know I come off, I mean, probably a little bit even here. I know I come off at times in person being kind of humorless, but it's just, to see that happening, see people with these relationships, it just seems like it should be so easy, and it's not. And that's what's so frustrating about it. Because you can't get to that point. And some of it, I think, is this location. Because I don't see that behavior either. You know, because they were doing some of this goofing around in public. I don't see that. You know, some of the things I've been aware for a long time. There's some of the things I complain about not having. Other people don't have either. They got a relationship, but they don't have that. They don't have what I'm looking for. That's part of the reasons why I don't have a relationship, is I'm not settling for something that isn't it. But still, it's frustrating that there's no inkling towards it. I think that's the thing that bothers me the most. There's no, you know, like where I work now, there's few of them actually quit and went somewhere else, but I can count them too because I met them working there. Just great women. And what do I mean by that? Well, they're nice. They're just great to be around. You know, looks are one thing. That's fine. But get in there and just get dirty. Don't care. Work on stuff. Just to see them do that, it's like, that's amazing. Because, and even in this area, because they'll try to fool you. That's another thing. They try to gaslight people about that aren't from this area, this region. They try to act like all the women are all they try to act like they're all tomboys and all that. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's this weird confusion with a lot of women where they think femininity and being an infantile is two different things, is the same thing, and it's not. It's two different things. They act like, I don't want to be in a relationship again. I'm willing to do all kinds of stuff. You know, they say 50-50. I'm willing to outdo that. I'm willing to do all kinds of things. But the notion, and this is kind of what it's been like in previous relationships with me. I mean, there's been a few of them that did bring some things to the table. I'm not saying they didn't bring anything. I've seen there's been a lot worse, sadly, than what I've had. But regarding like around the house, you know, I think that's the best I can give them credit for, is they worked jobs that took some responsibility, took some kind of mettle, so to speak. But around the house, outside of work, useless. I mean, you might have some house cleaning occasionally, and I could do better at that myself. That's not a man or a woman job. That's just a job. That's anybody has a house needs to take care of it. People like to, you know, assign that to the wife and assign that. I don't believe in that at all. And I don't want to be with anybody that believes that. She should expect me to clean around the house as well. And I need to do better than what I do here by myself. Hopefully I would. But the fact that like something needs work done, or something that requires getting dirty and they want no part of it, But these here, they're amazing. But, you know, in a lot of cases, sadly, good or bad, obviously you don't deliberately look for the bad, but women seem to exist in two states. One, they're in a relationship. Two, they're after that relationship because it went to hell because he was an awful person and a bad decision to be with in the first place. And now they're somewhat traumatized by it and they want to be alone. They want to be single for a while, which I respect. But you blink twice and they're back in another relationship. See, I respected that. And it took me a long time to understand that about myself when I got out of a relationship. Your funny thing is, when you're as far in as what I was in some of mine, what you want to do, you don't want to go through that whole process. You don't want to start over. You don't want to return to go, so to speak. You want to somehow get in a relationship with another person, but somehow be the same level as you were with the other one. And you can't do that. And I wasn't perfect either. So it took me some... I hope I'm better. I know the damage had to have done something. There's that. I know I'm better in some ways. And I needed to be. And I needed to spend that time alone. And even now, it's better to be alone than being in a bad relationship. Even the wrong one. Because you could be in a relationship with a good one that's the wrong one. And let's say they move in with you. And he starts to click that they're not the right one. You imagine, it's bad enough, traumatic enough getting out of a relationship with somebody who's not a very good person. But to get out, somehow you've got to get it in your mind that this person, it's a good person, but they got to go. I don't ever want to be in that position. I don't. As a matter of fact, my response when I see, I'm assuming all of these are in relationships, my knee-jerk response is that, oh, maybe they'll break up. I don't want to think about that. I mean, they're good people. Part of me has to at least cheer them on. I hope it's a good one. I mean, it sucks for me, but I don't want them going through that. They're good people. I don't want them going through that. Hard situation. And I just went through, before that, I went through Facebook dating. My God. I mean, I never get any responses. When I do, it's a horror show. But you're just going through there and it's like, what are you trying to achieve with this profile? One picture of a fence post, no information. Picture of a cat. Scroll down, picture of them 30 feet away. Picture of them, it looks like they took a picture of them from 1980. A picture of a picture. How do they get these grainy photographs? You know, and then there's one, and I don't want to be too specific because I don't want to shame anybody, make anybody feel bad, but one that I kept seeing her. I was just scrolling through, and I saw her, and I was like, she looks familiar. And it occurred to me, I work with her. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do that. Because I'm thinking about her. It's like, I know what there is to me, okay? But she doesn't. And I know how men can be. So my response was, I can't. You know, this is worth a try. Maybe this means something. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't put her in that situation. So I used her as like a stop. Because if you've ever done Facebook dating, I don't know if the thing it's based on was like this or not. But let's say you get to a person, let's say their name's Alice. I don't know any Alice's, so maybe that won't feel like I'm talking about anybody. But let's say there's Alice's profile, okay? And you go back to regular Facebook and scroll. Well, if you come back, they put 30 different profiles, maybe 300. on top of Alice. So you got to scroll through those. I used her as like a stop forever. Scroll, scroll, scroll. There she is again. And then I do something else and let them pile more up on top. And I would stop when I got to her. And I'm like, you know what? If I run across her again, I'm going to go ahead and give some kind of reaction or some kind of message. And I got to her again, and I'm like, I just can't do that. I can't do that. So I did the secondary save thing that you can do. It's a little trick. X'd her out. And then I left her, that way I left her on top of the X'd out folder because they do like a second look thing. So anytime I'd go through a bunch of them, I'd go over to the X'd out folder and I would X out all of them until I got back down to her so she's on top of it. And that way I could explore farther. Keep on going. And I wasn't seeing her at work anymore. So I'm like, oh, did something happen? I don't know what happened. Should I send one? Should I not? And I saw that she was in another part of work farther away from me. So I'm like, okay, this might be okay. Because she's not pinned up against me. She doesn't have to look at me. So she has an escape route. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And now I sent the response and the message, whatever. And then she came back over to my part. And I'm like, oh, no. No response, though, of course. It will mess with your self-esteem after a while. Because you see those, I'm happy for those people. I really am. I wouldn't say that I'm jealous. But it's like, how do you get something like that? How do you get somebody to care about you like that? And the other question is, how do these women settle for men who don't love them like that? I can't fathom that. That's the thing that blows me away the most. And, you know, it's like I said, it's not how someone looks. It's how they look at you. And you can see it in some of those videos. I know people like to sort of negate things that are online. They treat it like it's fantasy or something like that. But a lot of times it isn't. Why do you settle for less? It doesn't matter what they look like. Why would you settle for somebody who doesn't love you like that? Because they have the same access to the stuff that I do. You would think they'd be more inclined to watch that sort of thing. I know I'm kind of stereotyping here, but isn't that what women do? It's kind of the romance novel sort of thing, you know? Why do you settle for less? They seem to have this interest in something like that, and you look at the god-awful lump of crap that they hang out with. And these, I don't know. I don't know. They could be with great men. I don't know. Chances are, no. Because people think I give women a hard time. It's the men they're with. That's the sickening part. It's seeing somebody... This is the way I would explain it. Here's a metaphor. Imagine you're the corner person for a boxing match. Two different scenarios. Scenario A, your fighter is getting their butt kicked the whole time. They're not winning. They're clearly not winning this fight. Round after round after round. And they might not be getting beat to death, but they're not winning. They're not winning. It's not something where you're throwing in the towel, but they're clearly not winning. Okay? Other scenario. Your fighter is kicking butt the whole way. The whole way until they get to one of the last rounds. Not the last round, but one of the last rounds. And they start screwing up. And the other fighter starts tagging them and is almost knocking them out. They come back over to the corner. So let me ask you something. Which scenario are you going to be more animated about as the corner person? The one where they're losing the whole time? Or the one where they had it? They friggin' had it. And they started screwing up. That's the one I'm going to be crazy about. I'm going to be jumping up and down and pulling my hair out. What's left of it. I mean, because they had it. They're so close. They're so close. They had it in the bag. They knew what they were doing. And then they screwed up. And that's the reason why I'm like this with a lot of the women. It's not because I think they're no good or they're idiots or something like that. It's because they're so close to having it. They're good people. They're worthwhile people. And they hang out with this walking slop that they hang out with. You should see some of the people. Find me the most ridiculous, goofy clown. I mean, one particular guy, I can tell you at work, and there's a lot like this guy. I don't have to just pick on him. He goes cooking by people walking, and he'll cut in front of people. He's nearly crashed into me too. He's half my weight. I could bounce him off and off of an opposing wall. And I'm polite enough to get out of his way. And it just tears me up. If I was a little bit younger, I'd probably be a little bit more aggressive, and I wouldn't let it go. But he's way younger. He's probably a kid to me, and I'm just milder than I used to be, so I let it go. And doesn't have a car, doesn't seem to have a license, and he's just rude, and he's ridiculous. And all the time, he's just kind of do this strut when he's walking. Skinny as a rail, too. And just so arrogant. Now, who do you think picks him up from work? It ain't his mama. That's the type of scumbag I'm telling you about. The guy with the big loud truck that outside of this area, all you other women think ain't getting nothing. He's getting a lot. It's like the only thing I can figure is they're such ridiculous children that it somehow clicks something in the women's brain about maternal instincts, and they think they have to take care of them. That's all I can figure. Otherwise, it's like, what are you doing? Even if I was in a relationship and happy, I would have to, almost like a big brother, say, what are you doing? Why are you with this person? You should, anybody doubts it needs to venture down here and have a look at the ridiculous men who have got women. And I have to think there's more like me. I don't know. I'm not an easy match, that's for sure. It's a mess. It is a mess. People, it makes me mad going to the singles ads, and they make these sort of comments. Oh, I think somebody peed in the dating pool. Are there any good men here? Something like that. It's like, that's a really, some of the few times I actually get extremely angry with women. I'm friggin' there. Don't say crap like that. It would make sense not to say that anyway, because not all the ones who are not for you for one reason or another doesn't mean they're bad people. Most people are not for you. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's something everybody needs to keep in mind in relationships. Guess what? Most of the people you encounter are the wrong person. Doesn't mean they're bad people, though. They're just wrong. They're wrong for you. They could be great people, but they're not right for you. And to say crap like that, it's like if you're not exactly what they want, which is something that impresses their frenemies from across the room, you're garbage. I've had people, I've seen singles ads where they'll put height in the middle of, they'll say something like this. I don't want a man who cheats, beats, assaults, beats up, is abusive, lies, cheats, is short. Puts that in there with all that other stuff. And then you look at the men that they're after, and it's 15% of the population. And that's if they don't have a racial issue, that they'll only date this or only date that. That cuts it down even farther. Sight unseen. This is why people need to be given the right to sort of vent about this sort of thing without people casting judgments. Because let me tell you something, as a single person, it's bad out there. It's really bad. Really bad. It's worse than it's ever been.